Now then, YouTube, well, I'm on my travels again. This is the beautiful village of Uzès, just south of Limoges, about halfway down France. I do love a good church bell, don't you? I'm in this rather beautiful spot because I'm driving back from the UK to Spain. I've been in the UK about 4 to 5 weeks, and during that period there have been developments. And those developments have been a mixture of have been both good and bad. They've been both in the medical sphere and in the general sphere. So this video is going to be all about the good and the bad. Let's crack on with it. This is the best country pub in the world, take my word for it. And in the Yorkshire Dales on a picture-perfect day, there's no better place in the whole universe. And after a country walk with my beloved wife, there is no better thing in the whole universe than a great pint of Yorkshire bitter. Then, by some miracle, I got a ticket for my team's return to the Premiership. Ellen Road was absolutely bouncing. It was a privilege to be there. And we won, beating Everton 1-0, which was a great result. And it was a great night at Ellen Road. And it was a lovely experience at the Sportsman's too. Now, I've been to Ellen Road hundreds of times, and I've been to the Sportsman's probably dozens of times. I don't want to get all cancery about this, but when I used to go to those places, of course it was enjoyable, but it was enjoyable in a kind of routine way. The last two experiences were enjoyable in a different way, much more of a kind of emotional heft to them. I don't really want to delve too deeply into what the reasons for that might be. Yeah, let's just leave that one there, shall we? Now, more good news. A couple of days after the football, I went to see the oncologist to get the results of my 3-monthly blood tests. Now, it's always a bit of a knife edge, this 3-monthly ordeal thing. You know, you expect and hope that the test results will be good, but you can never be sure. They were great. Absolutely fantastic, bang in range. In fact, kind of below range. One of the markers, PSA, was undetectable, and another marker was a really, really good result as well. So that means that the cancer is currently well under control. I try not to get anxious about this 3-monthly test cycle, but mainly I fail because, you know, it's hard to control that anxiety, particularly in the kind of week before the test results. But when you get great results, like I just have, then the anxiety instantly lifts, which is really good. Okay, well, on to the slightly less good stuff. And the car I'm driving at the moment has Spanish plates. Now, remember that, because it may or may not be important in what I'm about to say to you. A bit of context first. The UK at the moment is a pretty angry country. I mean, you know, the UK doesn't have a monopoly on anger. We're in France at the moment, and they're kind of perpetually angry about all kinds of things. The biggest issue that seems to be getting people going is illegal immigration. I'm just not going to get into the rights and wrongs of that. It's a very, very complicated issue and a very difficult issue for any government to solve. However, what has happened in the UK is there's been a kind of outbreak of flag draping on lampposts and motorway bridges. I mean, when I drove down to Portsmouth, there was a UK flag or a Cross of St George flag on pretty much every motorway bridge. Now, generally, we're not a nation of, if you excuse the phrase, flag shaggers. I mean, we tend to put the flags out on the very rare occasions when our sports teams do very well. And this flag draping, I mean, it's a weird one. There is a school of thought that I probably agree with, that some of it is kind of genuine and patriotic, and maybe more of it is not. And the people who are draping flags have a kind of malign intent. It's a way of signalling their unhappiness at immigrants, and maybe it's designed to make immigrants feel uncomfortable. I mean, I don't know whether that's right or wrong, but it's a school of thought, and it's not an unreasonable position. Okay, so that's the context. When I was driving down to Portsmouth in my car with Spanish plates, I pulled out of a car park, and it was a very, very dark and wet night, absolutely filthy night, throwing it down with rain. I'd been parked up for a little time in the car park, and my car was kind of steamed up a bit, really. I should have unsteamed it more before I set off. Anyway, I didn't. I set off, and unintentionally, I think I cut somebody up coming out of the car park. I couldn't really see out the back window, and yeah, I got in this guy's way. Anyway, so this guy just goes crazy. I mean, he started chasing me in his car, sounding his horn, pulling up alongside me, blasting the horn. I mean, it was certainly harassment and possibly intimidation. Anyway, this went on for about half a mile. He drew level with me, so I just put my window down and said, "Look, what's up, mate? What's wrong?" And he said, "You cut me up." And I said, "Well, I'm really sorry. If I did, I probably did, because I couldn't see an awful lot out of the window, and I wasn't quite sure where I was going, and I was looking at the sat nav. So if I did that, I'm really sorry." Now, he chased a car with Spanish plates, and then when he heard the British accent as I spoke to him, he kind of calmed down immediately, and we left on amicable terms. I said, "I'm sorry for cutting you up." And I was thinking about this later, and a couple of questions emerged. Would this guy have had the same reaction if I hadn't been driving a car with Spanish plates? And maybe he thought I was some kind of filthy foreigner. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. He might just be a very angry guy, and he'd have got very angry with somebody cutting him up in a car with British plates. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But in the context of this whole flag thing that's going on in the UK, I think it's a valid question. Was this guy, was he a flag draper? Was he one of these people who's been tying flags to lampposts and motorway bridges with malign intent? Again, I don't know. Can't answer that question, but again, I think it's a legitimate question to raise. So, I mean, it left a bit of a nasty taste in my mouth, really. All those kind of horrible encounters on roads always do, don't they? But it kind of raised some bigger questions for me about the state of the UK at the moment. Not really pleasant questions, really. But anyway, there we go. That was the slightly less bad thing in a general sense. Then, no, more bad, not less bad, more bad thing in a general sense. And then there was another more bad thing in a medical sense, and I'm going to tell you about that when I arrive back in Spain, which will be in 222 kilometers time. So yeah, stick with me, and we'll have another little interesting medical development. Okay then, well, the more bad medical development is something called atrial fibrillation, known as AFib to aficionados. Very simply, this is chaotic electrical activity in the heart, and what the effect of that is that your heart rate bounces around like crazy. And generally, at least in my case, because I've had AFib twice before, your resting heart rate is quite severely elevated. And if you do any form of exertion, your heart rate kind of goes through the roof. So as an example, my resting heart rate is about 55, 56 beats a minute when I'm healthy. When I'm in AFib, it's up to 75, maybe 80 beats a minute. And if I walk up a flight of stairs, it just goes up like 120, 130, even higher sometimes. AFib it's no good. You don't want it. The effects, as you might be able to hear, are you get breathless because your heart is not as efficient. When the body is asking for oxygen, the heart is not able to pump in an efficient way to produce oxygen, particularly for exercise or exertion. So it's a pretty, I mean, if you're an active person, it's a pretty horrible affliction. The only good thing about AFib is that it's relatively easily fixed, at least on a temporary basis. And I'll tell you about a procedure called cardioversion. So I've been cardioverted twice before, and cardioversion is a pretty simple thing. They put two paddles on your chest, like you see in kind of movies where everybody shouts clear and the body bounces up off the trolley. They put two paddles on you and give you an electric shock. It's relatively mild. They either put you under or give you some sedation to do it. The great thing about cardioversion is it's instant. It's like they put you under or sedate you, shock you, and you wake up and it's cured. It's fixed. You are back in what they call sinus rhythm. In other words, the AFib has gone away. It's straight like that. There are not many medical procedures that are quite so instant, I don't think. The issue is that you have to be on blood thinners for 4 or 5 weeks before you can get cardioverted. So I am already on blood thinners and I'm going to see the cardiologist in a 2 or 3 weeks' time. And I am hoping he will agree to give me what will become my third cardioversion. And we will trot into the hospital and an hour later we will come out in rhythm. So yeah, that's the plan. Now, it's a funny thing, atrial fibrillation. As I say, I've had it twice before. Both the cardioversion procedures that I had before were completely effective instantly, and they lasted, each one lasted about 2.5, 3 years. And that is a really, really good outcome. For some people, they can be cardioverted and a week later they drop out of rhythm again. So that's a good outcome. Hopefully, this time the outcome will be the same if the cardiologist agrees to cardiovert me one more time. So I'm waiting for that. In the meantime, things are not so fun. They put me on beta blockers. Now, what beta blockers do is they kind of control the heart rate. So my heart rate is not allowed to rise above a certain level, or the drugs help stop it doing that, which again increases that kind of breathlessness. So yeah, to be honest with you, it's a pain in the arse. I mean, I expected it. I am an AFib sufferer, as are actually quite a number of cyclists and cross-country skiers and people who do endurance sports. It's quite weird like that. Beta blockers are not good if you do any form of exercise. Anybody who knows anything about beta blockers, really, you don't want to be on them if you're active in any way. So the upshot of all of this is that yet again, I'm off the bike. I mean, being on a bike with AFib and on beta blockers and indeed blood thinners, if you had a tumble, it's not really a sensible place to be. So, yeah, that's where we are. I can't pretend it's a welcome development. The analogy I draw is that if you have a dog, one day your dog is going to die. And that day is coming. But when that day comes, even though you knew it was going to come, it doesn't make you any less sad. And I knew that AFib was coming back because this cardioversion, not a permanent fix, but it didn't make it any easier when it did, particularly because I just felt that I was really starting to make some good progress in recovering from the chemo and all the other stuff that's been done to me over the last 6 or 8 months. So yeah, psychologically, perhaps more than physically, it's felt like a really, really big setback. However, looking on the bright side, it's fixable. It's fixable in a relatively short amount of time. And the last 2 times it was done, it was very effective and pretty long lasting. So that's what I've got to kind of hold on to, that the cardiologist will agree to cardiovert me again. It'll be done fairly quickly. And hopefully within 4 to 5, maybe 6 weeks from now, I will be back in sinus rhythm and able to resume some kind of active life. Yeah. In the meantime, I'm trying and not always succeeding in trying to stay cheerful, because it does feel like a setback, this. Anyway, there we go. I can fix it, or some clever doctors can fix it. So, yeah, okay, YouTube. So I will keep you updated on the whole cardioversion thing. And hopefully on the next video, or maybe the one after that, I will be back in sinus rhythm, back to some kind of fighting fitness and back on the bike. That is what I really hope is going to happen. Thanks for watching this on YouTube. See you next time, hopefully in rhythm.